Hey, we have a special treat for you today on Art School Live. Our guest is Douglas Fryer out in Utah. Douglas, what are you going to do for us today?
Well, I thought I would just show you what I'm working on in the studio today. I was planning on starting some large paintings,
Oh,
and
good.
it occurred to me that in the workshops that I've taught and the classes I've taught in the past, even university students, they have a hard time imagining that they could do something quite large. It's really common that's that students, beginning painters, and even professionals are a little intimidated by going any more than 24 inches. So 1114 is is a kind of a comfortable size for a lot of people to work. But to imagine doing a 60-inch painting, that's pretty intimidating.
It,
But
it
it's
is
really
it
it's
is intimidating. I'm doing a big one right now, and I've learned a lot of
yeah.
lessons on it.
Yeah. It's well, I'm sure you're finding that you just need to mix up a little more paint, and you need to use larger tools, larger brushes. Instead of a regular painting knife, you may use a large putty knife or something like that. So anyway, the other thing I was thinking is that a lot of people um, feel really comfortable just going to the store and buying standard canvases or panels that fit into standard frames, and don't branch out into maybe proportions, ratios, height to width that may be, just they may spark a different kind of concept for the painting to work on something quite panoramic or very tall and vertical, or a square that's not necessarily a standard size. And a lot of times I'll use root rectangles for my panels, and so they're very odd proportions, a 1 to 1.618 or something for a golden rectangle. And
Right.
you can't really find those standard frames for those, so you have to have custom frames. But anyway, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, so you're going to show us how
Yeah.
to prepare a panel. Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Well, I had someone write to me yesterday and asking me if I might just briefly talk about
Yeah.
my
Okay.
panel preparation.
Okay, good. So from what I
So,
understand, just to consolidate here, you're going to show us how, in a minute, you're going to show us how you prepare a panel. You're also going to show us how to start a painting. And I think you also have one that you're already working on. Or are you starting two
mhm.
paintings?
Well, it's just showing basically how I'm going to draw in the composition on this panel, and
Okay.
then in the middle of this, I'll switch out to a different panel that I already have drawn, and I already have a dried underpainting, and then
Okay, perfect.
I'll proceed from there.
Okay, good. Well, we're going to get the show started. We'll be right back.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhodes. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhodes.
Well, happy Monday, everybody. Hope you're having a really terrific August 1st, and we are excited to have you here. Our guest today is Douglas Fryer, and he is a rock star painter, and you will be able to learn a lot about painting from watching this episode. We're pretty excited to have him here. Douglas does some things that are really, really beautifully abstract and also representational in nature, but abstract feeling. And so you're going to get some really great tips and ideas today. Douglas has a brand new video out with us, and we're really excited about it. And it is called Painting with Intuition. And unlike many of the videos that we've done where we follow a formula, Douglas really shows you how he intuitively paints. You'll get some of that today, but of course, if you're interested in his video, you'll be able to see it at painttube.tv. And we have hundreds of professionally produced art instruction courses there from leading artists. And what you see on this show today is a lot different than when we professionally produce something, because we use pro cameras and pro sound and extreme close-ups and things like that. So today we have a free gift for you, and it is 97 incredible art secrets from the world's finest artists. We shoot hundreds of art instruction videos at painttube.tv, and we've taken a bunch of tips from 50 top artists to put together a 5-hour video that we'll give you for free. You can watch it online, digitally, or we'll send you a DVD if you want to pay the shipping. Just go to 97artsecrets.com. We also have today a prize, the Plein Air magazine apron. And this is actually a collector's item now because we changed the logo with the last issue. And so once these are gone, they're gone forever. And so we will be giving one of those away. And the way to win that is to put a comment in the comments section and to tell us, please, where you're watching from. We'll have an audience all over the world today, which is always pretty nice. Our winner from the last broadcast was Carol Zanny in Maine, who won my book, Make More Money Selling Your Art. Now we're going to get right back to our special guest, Douglas Fryer. Douglas, I have some reference images. Do you want me to show those? What's the story here?
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'm going to talk about the panel preparation first, I think, and
All right.
and so and then when I get started on this big panel, then we'll bring up the reference.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
I paint on a birch panel that's cradled. It has a support on the back. This one has about a 2-inch support on the back. It makes it really rigid. But I don't like painting on a panel that's just gessoed. It's too slick for me. I like the drag of the brush on a textured surface, and I sort of like the texture that you can get with that weave of the canvas. On small panels, I generally adhere just a very thin muslin. This is put on with a coat of gesso. Then I lay the muslin on, rub it down into that first layer of gesso, and then with a knife like this, I'll put on one more coat of gesso, and very thin, extremely thin. Let that dry, and that's where I am at this point. I'll then trim off this excess, gesso the sides of the panel, and then put one more very thin coat of gesso on it. And so I'll end up with a really nice rigid panel that has canvas on it. Now this one I actually used neutral pH or pH neutral adhesive, kind of like an Elmer's glue, and I put on a polyester canvas on this. So that was glued down. Excuse me. And then with this kind of wallpaper hanging flattener, squeegee, I made sure all of that air was out of that panel. I mean, from between the panel and underneath. And then that's where I am with that. And I'll probably gesso the sides of that. But you can see that that these panels are just, they're so easy to do. This one actually is how in my video I showed how to do a very abstract underpainting on which you would do your finished painting. But this I don't know if you can see, you probably can't see, but the weave of that muslin is very fine. It's really subtle, and it's just beautiful to work on. This is a painting that's halfway just kind of blocked in. But again, this was on an abstract underpainting. It's an old painting that didn't work out, and I decided to do another painting on top of it. And so I've got these things blocked in, but this one, you can see the weave of the canvas. This is actually a duck cotton duck canvas on this panel. So those are the kinds of surfaces I like to work on.
Now, do you make the cradle yourself?
I do. These were purchased through just online, but I have a number of panels on my wall over here that I've actually made myself with just MDF and just a birch, like a 5/8 inch birch plywood that I ripped down into strips and then cut the cradles and make them myself at a fraction of the cost of buying it.
Terrific. Hey, Douglas,
So,
do me a favor before we get rolling. Your head's cut off a little bit. We need to adjust your camera up just a touch. We're not going to see your whole palette, or else back it up a touch. One thing or the other.
Yep.
There we go. Now we can't
Is that
see
gonna
your
be better?
palette, yeah, that'll be good.
Okay.
All right. Terrific. Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we can actually see the top of your head.
All right. Well, not much to look at, but
well,
right.
You're a very handsome man. So, okay, let's get going, Douglas, and show us what you're going to do here. First off, I see it looks like you have a grid. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, if you want to bring up this reference shot, this slide, do you have it up?
It's coming.
Okay.
All right.
This is the reference that I've actually on the computer. I've done all of my composition there. I've adjusted things back and forth in Photoshop. I've adjusted color. I've placed these sheep in different areas where I really want them. So this is really specifically what I want. But what I want is to, I'm not going to do a little painting. I've got this big 60-inch panel I'm going to work on. So I'm going to scale it up. And so if we can go to this reference.
So how far apart are those grids? Are they like ½ inch, ½ inch?
Well, what I did is I took my midpoint and then just divided into equal squares. So it's on any panel that's it's gonna switch. So it's not like every time I'm gonna do a 3-inch square.
Yeah.
So I divide it in half this way, divide that measurement, and so I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 segments. Same as my reference here.
Now this is a trick the old masters used. They oftentimes grid their paintings or their references so that they could make them larger.
Exactly. I've used the same system to do 10-foot paintings or even murals. So that are 20, 30 feet long. And you can get a surprisingly accurate drawing using this method.
Yeah, I think what would be really helpful is just so I know you're going to do the whole thing, but let's just pick one little spot as a starting point so you can demonstrate how how you measure out your drawing into how you're transferring it.
Okay, well, if I take my center point, which is right here, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And so 2, 4, 6, 8, this is my center. And I can even make a mark here just because it's hard to find your way. And so I'm just going to count down 1, 2 from there. 1, 2. And so I can see what these squares are doing. So all I'm doing is I'm starting from that point. Sorry, right here.
And you're drawing with pencil?
This is a charcoal pencil.
All right.
So I can go over 2, and I know that on this square going over 2, I'm going to be right in the middle of it.
All right. I'm flipping back and forth to the grid image.
Okay. And so I can do this fairly loosely, but you can see that that I can be pretty accurate. All I have to do is draw one square at a time.
I find this very
So-
helpful.
1, 2. So I go 1, 2, and I know I should be at that angle. Coming up here, I count over 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and I know I need to be at that point. I go up and over, and I can come down with this other hill. So I'm just going to make sure where I am. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So I've got that line in pretty accurately. Let's see. I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know that's that spot, right? And that line is a little bit below there. And then I can bring it up to this point. There, I find where I'm at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go over here to this spot. Count down 1, 2, 3, 4. And 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I've got this house right here. And I've got these sheep. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One, 2. Let's see. There's that sheep here. 1, 2, 1, 2. So this one's right in here. This is that stone wall. And along this line, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And this sheep is standing right here. Okay. And then up from that sheep, this shadow is going to be here.
Doug, there's a comment from Catherine who says, if I make a grid, I number across the top and down the left side on the paper
Sure.
and the board.
Yeah. One, you can do that. 3, 4, 5, 6.
And there is, somebody else is saying there is an app that will grid your photos for you.
Good. Okay. Yep. I just usually do it in Photoshop, and
Yep.
it's just the way I've always done it. And there's probably a lot of easier ways that.
Ruthie is asking, does anybody know if there's a grid in Photoshop to impose onto your picture, or do you have to do it manually?
Well, I bet there is. Let's see. I know you're going to want to take a break midway, Eric. About how much time would that be?
You just keep going if you want to do this. I think it's really helpful for people to see how this is done. If you guys have questions, put them in the comments section. And tell us where you're watching from. I wish I had done this. I'm doing a big painting right now, and I just eyeballed it, and I knew my drawing was off.
Yeah. It's this way, you know, it's because your brain and your eyes can fool you into thinking you've done it right, but when you actually use methods to, you know, measure how accurate it was, it's like, wow, I was eyeballing it. I thought I was right, but I'm half an inch off or 2 inches off. But with this, I can be pretty accurate.
I'll say. Somebody is saying that in Photoshop view from the top panel, create grid layout. That's all you have to do.
And that imposes on it, it'll print, or is it that's just a guide?
I don't know the answer to that.
Because I know how to do a guide, but I'm not sure if that actually, you know, will print out.
Yeah. Well, you can always do a screenshot.
Yeah, sure. Yep. Exactly. That's a good idea. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, it's just guides according to this person.
Let's see. 4, 5. And I want there. This is hard.
Yeah, no,
it's not hard. It's not hard.
You're using, well, it could be a lot harder if you did it manually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're using charcoal, so you don't have to put a fixative on it. Is that right?
Well, I usually do.
You do.
I
Okay.
usually put a little bit of a fixative, but you know, not just enough so that the charcoal doesn't move around too much, but not so much to where you encase it in whatever that is made of. Anyway, I think
that does it.
You know, you get the idea, and you know, once I have this here, you know, I can actually switch to this is just a big thick piece of compressed charcoal, and I can start blocking in some value if I want.
Well, that's important to see.
You know, all of these trees are rim lit.
Do you ever tone your canvases? Alonzo is asking.
Yeah, I do. You can work on a tone canvas, you know, do an imprimatura. I'll show you on my on the next painting. I'm going to switch this out in a few minutes to one I've started this morning, and it'll show you kind of the next step. I generally will draw, you know, do the drawing first and then put a tone over it, but you can do it the other way around.
Okay. All right. So why don't we take a quick break and then you can switch out your canvas. We got a sense of what you're going to do here and how to do a grid.
Yep.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
I'm going to show the photo reference one more time real quickly so you guys can see. This is the photo reference, and then this is the photo reference with the grid. And then, of course, you can see the grid that he's transferred over to his canvas, and he's laying it in now. All right. There's the grid.
Good.
All right. So we're going to come right back. Okay. All right. So our guest today is Douglas Fryer, and what a fabulous artist he is. And today we're learning about really how to enlarge a painting. And this is really a great tool. I'm working on a giant painting right now. I did not do that. I wish I had seen this before. I've known about the concept, but I just decided to freehand it. Everything was wrong. I had to redraw it several times. So this is a good way to go about it for sure. Well, I want to just mention to you guys that we are here in Art School Live, and we have a free gift for you, 97 Incredible Art Secrets from the world's finest artists, 50 top artists, 5 hours of video. It's our gift to you. And of course, this is so we can demonstrate to you some of the high quality videos that we have available. We have hundreds, and just go to 97artsecrets.com to get yours. You can subscribe to this program on YouTube or on by following on Facebook or Instagram or otherwise. Just go to Streamline Art or Art School Live or Eric Rhodes and hit the subscribe button and the little bell that'll notify you. That's very helpful. We're trying to get up to that 100,000 mark on YouTube, and we're very close. And so thank you for that. Thank you for making it happen. We're here every day at 12 noon Eastern time. We have people watching from all over the world today. Thank you for watching, and welcome if you're new. We also have a video from Douglas Fryer, which is a fabulous video. It just was released. It's called Painting with Intuition, and Douglas really gets into how he does things instinctively instead of just always trying to follow a system. You can find that video at painttube.tv. Now, we're getting pretty excited. We have our second annual Pastel Live Conference coming up just around the corner. It's 18 days away. I'm getting ready to fly back to Austin to host that. We've got hundreds and hundreds of people going to be on, and we've got some of the world's top pastel artists, and we would love to have you join us. We have a money-back guarantee. In case you get in and you find it's not for you, just let us know by the end of the first day, and we'll give you your money back. I do have a trip to New Zealand that I'm going to be doing. It's an international trip. I try to do one once a year. Haven't been able to do one for quite a while, and this is the first one in a long time. It's in September, so it's also right around the corner. But if you're the adventurous type person who would like to be able to come and paint in New Zealand with me, we do have a few seats left because we had a couple of cancellations last minute. So just go in and go to paintingnewzealand.com to check it out. And if you've got a passport already and you're adventurous, you want to go, we would love to have you. Okay, now we're going to get back to our guest, Douglas Fryer, who is going to do another, he's already got something that he's gridded and laid in, and now he's going to do some painting work from that. Douglas, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Eric. You know, I just wanted to mention, you know, the idea of painting intuitively. You know, there's a lot of different definitions of intuition, you know. I think I work best when I can have some um, sort of a palette of systems I can turn to for any given painting that I'm going to compose. And so I can intuitively say, well, it feels right to go this route, or it feels right to maybe start a painting this way instead of that way. And so with intuition, I can just say, you know, I feel best about this, make a quick decision on something intuitively. So making a plan, having a plan doesn't necessarily mean that you are avoiding intuitive choices. So even when I you know, grid this up, I'm making intuitive choices on how I'm going to draw that, the sort of character of the marks I'm making. When I start the painting, I can have a palette prepared with a lot of color on it. But when I start painting, I'm not thinking about anything but the color next to color, or color over color, or marks and groups of marks, rhythms, and you know, all of those things that go into painting. And I'm making very quick, intuitive choices about those things within this sort of plan that I've intuitively chosen, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it does.
So here I have a painting that I just started this morning. I put a grid, just like you saw on the other painting. You could still see the grid. I drew in my composition. It's you know, it's pretty accurate. These things are, I mean, it's not like photorealism or anything, but I've got things placed pretty accurately, very quickly, using the system of the grid.
I'm going to
So-
show the reference image before you continue. Here's the reference image so you can get a feel for it. And here is the reference image that's been gridded. All right, take it away, Douglas.
Okay, so you can see I've put sort of a very transparent and fluid sort of underpainting, I would call it. It's not quite an imprimatura, but it is a you know, color that is, I've knocked down the white of the surface, and I have allowed myself to start with a theme sort of the gesture, the abstract qualities of the painting, even at this point. I didn't put it on like I'm painting a wall in my house. I put it on with you know, dynamic gesture and marks and drips and things like that will sort of inform the next step, the next marks I'm going to make on this painting.
And will you leave
wanted
some of the underpainting showing through?
Very, very possibly, probably I will, but it may not be a lot of it. But since I work with knives, it's a little harder to do this with brushes. But with knives, I can lay on a color, and I can subtract that mark as well. And if I subtract, I'm revealing something. If this were just the white surface of you know, the original gessoed surface, I would be revealing white. But let's say I want to reveal a purple. Let's say I want to reveal a blue. If I subtract paint off, so that blue may interact, you know, with the other layers that I put on top of it, both additive and subtractive methods. So yes, I'll leave some of that, but it may only be in the form of a purple sort of halftone because of the texture of the canvas. It'll be a purple halftone playing with maybe a green on top of it. So,
All right.
so for example, if I took a green and laid it over there, because you know that's what my my painting's going to be. See, I've just put a paint on there. I've kind of triple loaded the color on my knife, so I have three or four actually different colors that I've put over that, plus the purple underneath. That's where I have this halftone pattern of the texture of the canvas. It's not white. It's the color that I chose to put under that green. So that was definitely part of the plan. So so I've prepared a lot of color on my palette. I have a generous amount of paint here that I can actually, you know, just start laying on. Now this color here is acrylic. I knew I was going to be doing a demo today, and I had to have that dry. So I used acrylic instead of oil, but that could be done in oil. And
So
there's
you're
no problem
putting, for clarity, you're putting oil over acrylic.
I'm putting oil over acrylic. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep. Yeah.
Never acrylic over oil.
Right. Never acrylic over oil. And so now with this knife, and because I have prepared my palette, I can get a lot of paint on here very quickly. Now, if I were to use a brush to do that, you know, I can do it, but I would be dipping in here, you know, pretty often to get that amount of paint on there. So I use a knife. And I don't know if you can see, but there's some browns, kind of purplish, neutral, tan colors, putty colors, of more vibrant green, and this kind of peach color that's in the middle of it. So I can get broken color in these passages pretty easily with this knife.
How fun.
And of course, I'm playing with the color that's underneath it as well, because I can subtract. I just revealed the bluish purple that was underneath that.
I'm going to pull up the reference image here in a second for everybody, just so they can see it. Okay. You guys have questions, you know where to put them. Comment section.
So really, all of this is I'm blocking it in. Blocking in immediately brings up an image of kind of chiseling, you know, a lot of series of straight
Big
edges.
shapes.
Big
Douglas,
shapes.
we have a question
Yeah.
from Johnny who says, how do you choose your underpainting hues? Are they intentionally chosen, random for interest? Is your underpainting based on values and color temperature?
You know, in any painting, it could be all of the above. Generally, you know, instead of starting with color, I'm thinking value. I want to knock down that white surface to at least a medium value, and often quite dark, because in my next layers I want to work dark to light.
Okay.
rather than light to dark. So going with a medium value also allows me to go up from the middle or down from the middle on my value scale. Instead of going all the way from white down to a low value, I'm going
Right.
from a mid value to a low value. So the next thing would be, yeah, if I've got let's say a green, I'm going to choose a color that maybe will work well with that green. I kind of like purple, you know, next to a green. So a lot of this is sort of a purplish blue that is coming through here. But if other paintings, I've actually gone with a red or a magenta. You know, something like this could be an underpainting, and so I've got red that may be peeking through in places.
Yeah. Nice.
As I work the painting, or the green, or you know, maybe the red shows up more on the edge of the painting. But and sometimes I do this you just really randomly in order to surprise myself. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of fun to see how, you know, what that color would do to, you know, whatever's on top of it. And sometimes those surprises really are the thing that breathe life into the painting.
Are you
If it
using
surprises,
a drywall knife?
yeah, that's just a drywall putty knife. Yeah, and this is the same. It's just this is a little wider, and I've ground off the edges or the corners of this knife just to give me a little different kind of edge.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's go down to this other area here.
Okay. I'm
I'm
going to
gonna
pull up
mix
the
up.
reference image one more time just so people can see it.
Yeah.
All right.
So I've got this Indanthrone blue, which is a really beautiful deep blue, and I'm just going to knock down my value in these dark areas. One thing that I really like to think about as I'm painting is to think in terms of colors that are in your lightest value range, you know, your value family, we could call it, a light value family, a mid value family, and a dark value family, and then keep those separate. If you think in terms of the value family, the dark value family is not going to get mixed up with my mid value family, which is not going to get mixed up with my lightest value family. And if you just keep that in mind, it will really help to avoid, you know, getting muddy and have everything kind of just become mud or formless, because it's really the values that help us to read form. And if those values get too mixed up, we don't see form anymore. All we see is, you know, just flat color. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Just say 1, 2, 3 value families, and they don't get mixed up. So this is kind of fun, just laying these big, broad areas of color on here.
Got some birthdays in the comments section. Happy birthday to those of you who are having birthdays. I'm going to the hardware store today and get me a big knife like that.
Well, you know, it's they always say, you know, paint with a brush or a tool that's bigger than what you think is comfortable. And but it's surprising the beautiful abstract marks you can make with this tool. I can't do that with a brush. There's just no way.
Yeah. But you will use a brush at some point, yes?
Yeah, but just not yet. Yeah,
Not yet.
maybe not even today.
Well, it's just fun to watch this.
I can still see my drawing. So
Can you?
I still have a guide. Yeah, I can still see my drawing under here. It'll be hard on the camera to see it, but I can see
Of
it.
course, yeah. Hey, if you guys are new and you're your first time watching Art School Live, put a comment in the comment section. Just say, "Hey, I'm new," and we do have a free gift for you if you're new or not new and you haven't got it yet. And it is a free book. Excuse me, a free video. 97 tips from some of the great artists that are part of our group. Go to 97artsecrets.com. And if you're not used to seeing this show, you can subscribe on YouTube at Streamline Art or Art School Live, and just hit the notification bell so you're notified, and then follow me, please, on Instagram and Facebook. All right, Douglas, it's really coming together beautifully.
Well,
it's amazing how
thank
fast.
you. It's a bit of a mess, but I want to see. I want to make intuitive marks, and so I'm not going to just do this whole painting with a number 4 and just build it up stroke by stroke. I'm too impatient.
Will that dark acrylic eventually bleed through over time, over 100 years?
Oh, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Especially with the thicker paint you're putting on.
Right.
A lot of new people signing in.
Oh, good.
Douglas, you're just a magnet, You're just pulling all these people in to watch you.
That's right.
So we're going to go about 4 more minutes.
Okay.
So at least we're getting a feel for how you do it. Oh, look at that. Now, in your video, you actually get into a lot of the principles of what you're doing and why you make the reflection darker and so on.
It's just, again, it's really managing your values. Because if you can manage the values, the value patterns in your painting, you can do almost anything you want with color. Now, some of this paint's pretty thick, and you may want to tell yourself, oh, palette knife paintings have to be super thick. But the beauty of the painting is the relationship between the thick and the thin.
Yeah.
So these lights and opaques, I may put in, with a pretty generous amount of paint. But the shadows, the darks and the shadows, I'm going to even subtract out. I want that to be, I want those to be quite thin and transparent. while the lights are thicker and more opaque.
How long did your underpainting in acrylic have to dry? Did it matter?
Well, it really, you know, ideally it should dry at least, you know, like several hours. Overnight would be the best. You can
Someone
take a
asked in the
hairdryer to
comments
it.
if you're using regular artist paints or if you're using house paint.
No, this is artist colors. They're Gamblins that I use. So yeah, it's house paints are
Made for houses.
probably not. Yeah, they're good for houses, but not for a painting.
Well, they're not
that's gonna
not
last.
archival.
Excuse me.
Uh-huh. I'm going to show the reference image again for those of you who might not have seen it, so you can see what Douglas is doing. Now, talk to me about the photographs, because photographs lie, right? Because your photograph
Yeah,
here,
exactly.
the shadows are pretty dark in your photograph.
Well, I pushed them a little bit darker in Photoshop because I want the contrast.
Okay.
Photographs do lie. They seem like they're real because they're so literal. But a photograph isn't a painting. I want to make a painting. I don't want to make a copy of a photograph. I want to make
Right.
a painting.
Right.
And so the reference is only there as a point of departure. You know, and the more realistic I want to make it doesn't necessarily mean that I paint it more like the photograph, because there are a lot of other things that go into making something feel real. Our eyes don't see like a camera. We can only focus on one small area at a time, and everything else is in motion or interpenetrating or just, you know, blurry. There's also things in a painting like the passage of time, or, you know, the movement of branches in a breeze or a wind. You know, a shadow comes over and covers the field with, you know, with a shadow, and then it's gone and it's brilliant again. All of those things and memories and sounds and smells go into making it feel real. So it's not necessarily making it look like the photograph.
Yeah.
That it's only a reference, but it's not the absolute rules of how it needs to look. So,
Well, Douglas, I think we're going to need to wrap up
Yeah.
here, but you've given us a really 3 terrific ideas and lessons. What are you doing now?
oh well, I'm softening some of the edges, and I'm introducing another tool, which you know, just gives variety to it. So
Deconstructing.
yeah, and then I can build it up, and now I've got these blues coming up into that field. I've got the field coming down into here. So I can get a lot of, you know, edge work early on in the painting, and then, you know, I go back to another to this tool or to another one, and I keep working it. I can take a squeegee, you know, and come across and get some really beautiful things that I can't get any other way early on in the painting. So yeah,
Charlie
try
Hunter is
different
watching, and
tools.
he'll be happy that you used a squeegee.
There it is, Charlie. It's beautiful.
Well, Douglas, thank you so much. This has been absolutely wonderful to have you on today, and we learned a lot of lessons. If you tuned in late, you got to go back to the beginning, because we learned about how to create a panel. We learned about how to basically how to draw in from a grid so you can enlarge your painting, and then we learned about painting with really, over your underpainting, and how to use a drywall knife. That was pretty good. And deconstructing, a lot of good lessons in here. Douglas has a really terrific video out with Paint Tube Streamline. It's called Painting with Intuition. It is wonderful. It's available on video, DVD, or streaming, and you can find it at painttube.tv, where you're going to find Douglas and hundreds of other professionally produced art instruction courses. Douglas, this has been fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And we have put your website in the comments, and a link to your video. So it's always a pleasure. And you and I had a lot of fun together when you came in to shoot the video.
It was great.
Yeah, I need to get to Utah. So
You do.
I'll visit. All right.
Anytime.
Thank you, Douglas. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I want to remind you that we have a terrific event coming up in August. It's called Pastel Live. It's an online conference, hundreds and hundreds of people attending from all over the world. And it's August 18th through 20th, and including a beginner day if you decide you want that. And just go to pastellive.com. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Eric Rhodes, the publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur, Plein Air Magazine, and numerous newsletters like American Watercolor, Pastel Today, Inside Art, Plein Air Today, Fine Art Today, Realism Today. I think I got them all. All right. Have a terrific day. Make sure to leave a comment so that we have an opportunity to pick you so that you can win a prize. Take care and happy 1st of August. Bye-bye.